The Art of War. Chapter 3.
Once upon a time, in a far, far land in China, there was a great war that sought to conquer and possess strategic towns in China, in order to turn those towns into a great city. And there were multiple competitors searching to conquer those towns and become the principal city. But in one of the battalions, there was a man, a big thinker, that didn't use the brute force. He used strategies, and with the help of his partners, they became the great city that took China decisions. When they were in a critical city that already was taken and would define their future, he said, "The best thing of all is to take the enemy's town whole and intact. To shatter and destroy is not so good. That would mean lots of loss. So, it is better to recapture an army entirely than to destroy it. And if that, we will become way more powerful." "But Soldier Su, how do we do that? How do we affront the resistance?" "The supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without even fighting." "So, what's the big plan?" "First, we need to bulk, to frustrate the enemy's plan. The next best is to prevent the junction of the enemy's forces. Then, the next in order is to attack the enemy's army in the field. And no matter what, the worst policy of all is to besiege walled cities." And so they started analyzing the entrance of the city, how they fought the other competitors, and how they were being treated. They started to plan how to enter to the city, and at that moment another soldier said, "What if we build up mounds and we enter the city and we use mantlets and movable shelters? Then we attack with new built weapons." To what Sun Tzu replied, "The rule is not to besiege walled cities if it can possibly be avoided. The preparation of mantlets, movable shelters, and various implements of wars will take up 3 whole months. And the building up of mounds over against the walls will take 3 months more." They started to execute their plan. They recruited those soldiers that were tired, that haven't eaten in weeks, by the tough treat of their leader. At first, it was difficult. They were loyal. But then the injustice of the army general made that most of the soldiers wanted to be in Sun Tzu's army. The general, mad because he started losing soldiers, wanted to fight and destroy Sun Tzu's army. But, as Sun Tzu said, back to when they were planning, the general, unable to control his irritation, will launch his men into the assault like swarming ants, with the result that 1/3 of his men are slain while the town still remains untaken. Such are the disastrous effects of a siege.
Does that mean that the general was not being a good leader? Was he? No. The skillful leader subdues the enemy troops without fighting. He takes his cities without besieging them. He overthrows his kingdom without long operations in the field. This means that the brute force is not always the best decision. Sometimes you have to think big and the consequence that our decisions may bright in the future. But after overthrowing the kingdom, what should be done? With his forces intact, he will contest the rule of the empire, and thus, without losing a man, his triumph will be complete. This is a stratagem attacked method. In any case, you can win if the fight to the death, but if the enemy doesn't give up and wants to fight, what should be done? It is the rule in war. If our forces are 10 against one of the enemy, surround him. If 5 to 1, to attack him. If it is double, divide our army in 2. What happens if we mash it? What if we are nothing but the enemy? If we call, we can offer battle. It is slightly less in number. We can avoid the enemy. If it is quite uneven in every way, we can run away from it. What he wants to say is that through an obstinate fight may be made by a small force. In the end, it must be captured by the larger force. So, Sun Tzu army had an advantage because some of the soldiers in army general want to be in Sun Tzu army. I don't understand why some soldiers are leaving the general army. Sun Tzu, can you explain me? Sun Tzu replied, I'm going to explain you with this phrase. The general is the bulwark of the state. If the bulwark is complete at all points, the state will be strong. But if the bulwark is defective, the state will be weak. It means that the general is being weak. And also he commands us to advance or to retreat, being ignorant of the fact that we cannot obey. We were not in the conditions. What you said is called halving the army. In fact, you already said one way in which a ruler can bring misfortune upon his army. I'm going to tell you two other facts that I'm really sure the general implement. Sun Tzu started to explain to the soldier that one fact was attempting to govern his army in the same way as he administers a kingdom, being ignorant of the conditions with obtaining an army. The soldier was in agreement of what Sun Tzu said, so he answered. Totally, and this caused restlessness in the soldier minds. Sun Tzu said, yes, and the last fact was employing the officers of his army without discrimination, though ignorance of the military principle of the adaptation to circumstances. That shakes the confidence of the soldiers. So they realized that the general had all these facts. Now it makes sense that the majority of soldiers of the general want to be now in the battalion of Sun Tzu.
And when we can trust anymore in nothing, nobody, and when we feel tired, what's next? So you might know that troubles are coming and victory is going far away. You're bringing anarchy in the army. So what I do, what we have to do to bring victory near to us and to win. So there are 5 essentials for victory. We have to accomplish these 5 ones for victory. Main is that the opponent will know when he's able to attack or not. Second is that will win the one who knows how to manage superior and inferior forces. The following is that the one who wins is because the environment and spirit is the same, independently of the range. The fourth is that the one better prepared and waits to take the unprepared competence will win. Finally, the one who has the capacity and can be interfered with will have the victory. So, at the end of the day, if I know the opponent and know myself, the fear of each battle result is not important. But if I don't know the opponent, even if I know myself, I can win battles but suffer defeats. And if I don't know any, I will lose.
At the end, every soldier had learned Sun Tzu's lesson, making the army of Sun Tzu enter to the town and overthrow the Ming general. That meant the army won, without any violence and with a good ruler, Sun Tzu.
So, in conclusion, we can see that the strategy is a very important fact to take into account at the time to fight over with competence and opponents. I have to know, and we as a company, as a group, we have to know who I'm competing with and know all the things that I have to fight and all the things that will help me to win each battle and achieve the victory.